Hopes of a blue wave turning into a wash, and that could have major impacts on the next round of stimulus. Let's bring in Axios co-founder Mike Allen. Mike, always great to have you with us. It's been a while, and it's great to have you on a day like today. There's a lot that is still unknown, but what we do know, Mike, is that an argument could be made that the Democrats' power in Congress has been weakened. It wasn't able to flip the Senate. It lost some of the seats in the House. And in all of this, despite spending boatloads of money on a lot of key races, how does this all influence the fight for a stimulus package?
Yeah, if you get a Biden presidency, and we're headed there, as you know, we're not there, but Vice President is en route to 270 electoral votes. You get a Biden presidency, his agenda is really crimped by this, including a stimulus package. So you're right that not only were people surprised, it would be hard to find somebody in Washington who honestly thought that Republicans were going to keep the Senate. It would be even harder to have found someone in Washington who would say that Republicans were going to gain seats in the House. Between the two of those changes, it's going to make it really hard for him to go as ambitious as we wanted to. As we've talked here, like Joe Biden planned to go big. Like he wants to show that government can work. He wants to do a lot under a stimulus package. All that is suddenly much harder.
Hey, Mike, it's Tim. Thanks for joining us. So I guess that's kind of where I'm going with this. GOP senators look very smart in terms of the chess game they played down the stretch here to this election and pulling back. What do you expect on fiscal stimulus? Let's get right to, where can we be in the fourth quarter with much of the same crew coming back in the new year?
Yeah, Tim, I think that they are going to be reluctant to do a lot. The incentives to act just aren't here. You're going to have Vice President Biden out there who's going to want to get credit for a big package. So I think what you're going to start to see is the lines form for January. And Tim, I think the one thing that we need to look at, in addition to the fact the Republicans had a big night, and we talked about how their power changed, but there's a few other things from last night that in Q4, Q1 are going to make a big difference. Like one is the fact that people vastly underestimated the durability, the breadth of President Trump's appeal. Even if you wind up with a president-elect Biden, much narrower, everything last night tighter than we thought. That's going to constrain him. But for your viewers, like it makes a real difference in understanding the country. Like we're much still more 50-50-ish than I think that we'd started to think based on media coverage, based on polls, getting toward the end. And for anyone who's trying to do business, like win office in America, like that matters.
Hey, Mike, it's Dan. Listen, nobody breaks more stories out of the White House than you, Jonathan, Jim. What's the word here on how far Trump will take these lawsuits to try to overturn, the results of this election? And I'm asking it in the context, our viewers care about that because that level of uncertainty and the length of that uncertainty will start to weigh on markets.
Buckle up. You say, how far will you carry it? How far you got? So I just got a text from somebody who's deploying to Nevada for a court fight. You saw a flurry of legal ballot actions filed today by the Trump campaign. Last night, the president throwing out the Supreme Court. And Axios PM, my newsletter, which is about to pop, our lead story is we talked to a lot of legal experts who say that a Bush v. Gore sequel, some people had wondered, are we going to have 2000 all over again, although instead of Florida, it'd be Pennsylvania. It doesn't look like there's the grounds for that, but that is not going to stop the president. Your viewers know just because there isn't ground for a suit doesn't mean you can't be sued. And this is the political version of that. And the president said he was going to do this time and again. The president has done, whether it's on trade, whether it's his posture with China, and now is how he's going against ballots. The president not only signals what he's going to do, he just says it, and he's going to do it. So they are going to fight this, even in places where it doesn't look close. You have the former governor of Wisconsin warning them that the recount they're wading into, very difficult with the gap that they have, but they're plunging ahead.
Yeah. Mike, thank you. Always good to speak
Thank you
with
for
you.
your coverage.
Mike Allen of Axios, and again, his PM newsletter will hit soon. James, given all that Mike has said, it sounds like we should, in fact, brace for a smaller stimulus package, given how the landscape in Congress has changed with the assumption of a Biden presidency. Does that necessarily mean, in your view, that we are in for a slower growth environment and smaller market gains?
If we study the notes from the Fed meetings and we look at the minutes and we read the level of their concern about our economy, we wouldn't be talking about anything except battening down the hatches here. A stimulus is a must to keep us from going off the cliff. Just are there guardrails on canyon roads? There's got to be guardrails to keep the integrity of our economy, and a stimulus is a must. Regardless of who's in the White House, it's going to be done, and it may not be enough. Every scenario pointed to signs of recovery here in Q4, and things are getting worse for COVID, and the implications still aren't known. And so I think that markets have to come down to reflect the slow growth of the economy and then the potential damage to the economy from COVID that we still haven't seen the full breadth of. And frankly, we want to make sure investors are okay. And so we're taking a defensive stance. As I said earlier, 73% of the gains in this market are concentrated in 10 equities on the NASDAQ 100. So it's very important for investors to be defensive. And then if things aren't as bad as they seem, we still would have seen economic contraction just based on the 12, 13-year bull market. And so we're incredibly puzzled as to why people are taking the Fed seriously, not just in its actions, but in its statements and its analysis of the risk to the economy.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.